Hey Thrivers, Heather Choate here. Today we're talking about what to do when you cannot let go of pain. So many times we rehash situations from our past again and again and again and again, and we become sucked into a cycle of letting the past become our present, right? So that's what we want to talk about today is what can we do? What do you do when you cannot let go of this pain? You know, it might be something that you bring up frequently in your marriage. Maybe your spouse did something 3, 5, 10 years ago, and it still feels like it hurts as much today as it did when it happened. If that sounds like you, if you feel like you're stuck in any of those kind of situations where this pain just keeps coming up, the past just keeps coming up, you feel so stuck, then this message today is especially for you. Let's dive right in. I was hoping we could get some live viewers. I always appreciate doing these live, but I don't see anyone on just quite yet. It usually takes a little bit of time, but that's okay. I know that a lot of people enjoy the replay, and we also post these sometimes, so you can definitely check in at that time. So let's look at what is real here, okay? What is real? In this situation, it is very real that this pain is something you feel you cannot let go of. The pain feels real. You were hurt very much so in the past, different circumstances, different reasons for all of us. But I guess we can assume that all of us have gone through some kind of pain, some kind of difficulty or challenge in our life. So at this present moment, that feels very real. So look at what's real. The pain feels real. This pain, we know it came from something in the past. That fact is real. If I want to make one clear distinction, and I can see a couple people are watching. So hi, how's it going? Go ahead and let me know that you're here. Drop a comment. I always appreciate hearing from you guys and making this really interactive in our time together. So we're talking about if this pain feels really real to you right now, what to do about that, okay? So what else is real about this pain that you might be holding on to? Is it happening right now? A clear distinction that I wanted to make right off the bat is that we are talking about, hey, Shelly, how's it going? Awesome. Good to see you, girl. So if this is a current pain or a current situation, that's not what we're talking about today. Just want to make that super, super clear. We're going to go into the idea of forgiveness and how to let things go. But I want to make it really clear up front that you may have been hurt deeply in the past. We're going to compare that to being like stabbed in the arm. I know that's a little gruesome, but sometimes those pains feel so real. We can almost feel them physically, like a stab in our heart, right? To the gut. Okay. So it's like we've been like, we hurt, or someone hurt us. We hurt other people. We all do this. All of us are human. None of us are perfect. So someone hurt us and it felt like we got stabbed in the arm. Okay. The only situation that we're talking about here is if that happened in the past. If you are currently still being hurt or harmed by someone, that is a different situation. So I hope that that is really clear right off the bat, because I do not believe that forgiveness can come when you are currently being hurt in the same way by the same person. This only applies if it has happened in the past, and yet you are now the one that is struggling to move on, struggling to overcome that, to let it go. Okay? Does that make sense? So I'll just do a quick illustration here. Maybe it'll help clarify something for you. So if an affair happened in your marriage, let's say that your husband cheated on you and that happened 7 years ago, currently is not repeating that behavior anymore. However, you still feel stuck with that pain. It feels almost as real today as it did back then. You keep having it resurface and come up again and again and again. That is what we're talking about. So is that clear to everyone? Okay. Contrast that with someone whose husband, same person, like instead of it happening 7 years ago, it's continuing to happen today. That is a very different situation. The things that we're talking about today do not apply to that. I can talk about that another time, but that's not here and now. So I hope that that's really, really clear to everyone right off the bat. If you try to take these things and apply them to current pain or challenges, it's not the right way to go about it. These are for past. So anything that happened several weeks, several months, several years ago, even several decades ago, yes, we can carry these things that long. That's what we're talking about. So what is real? You have been hurt. You've also hurt others, right? But you've been hurt. And that pain continues to remain with you. What also is real? You don't know how to let it go. You may have been trying different things. You may have been told you just need to let it go. But for whatever reason, it's still stuck with you, okay? Look, the else is real. I titled this in a tricky way. Because I said what to do when you can't let go of pain. Is it real that you can't let go of pain? Or is it real that you won't? Ooh, that's a sticky one. That doesn't feel so good. I'm going to get to a softer place here in a little bit, I promise. However, I just want us to all be really honest with ourselves. Is it because we can't do something, or is it because we aren't doing something? Is it because it's impossible to let it go? Is it impossible to move on from the pain of the past? Or is it that we don't know how? Okay, that's a very different question, right? Very different statement there. I can't let this go versus I don't know how to let this go. Or even being really aware, I won't let this go. Okay, those are all okay. I'm not saying there's any right or wrong. The only wrong is that you can't, because I don't believe in can'ts at all. Anything is absolutely possible. It's either that you're choosing that you don't want to let it go. You're making a deliberate choice. You want to let it go, so you won't let it go. Or you don't know how. And the things that you've been trying make it feel like this is such a heavy burden on you that it just seems like it may never, ever go away. If that resonates with any of you, this is definitely for you today. A couple of questions I'm going to go to real quick. Shelly said, what do you do when your past has caused hurt, but the person holds on to those past hurts? Okay. And Susie said, I don't want to live in Pana. Awesome. Okay. We'll get to that. And yeah, Shelly, we're definitely going to talk about that. The person holds on to those past hurts. So you may not be the one holding on to past hurts so much as your partner. These things would be really great to share with them if they're in an open place to hearing it. If you try to shove it down their throat, it's not going to work out so good. However, it can give you some compassion, some understanding for maybe why. Why? That's the big question that we want to start off with. Okay. I really appreciated this from Tony Robbins. He said, for many of us, we get stuck in the past because of our need for certainty. One of the principal things that we teach at High Thrive Coaching is the 6 basic human needs. If you've been with us long enough, you know we talk about these. And one of the 6 basic human needs is the need for certainty. We hold really fast to wanting to know that we are secure and that everything is going to be okay. We want to have an element of knowing that we have control over our lives and our environment. Without that, everything feels like chaos. You feel like you're walking on a glass floor and it could break at any second. Basic human need, you want to have that level of certainty. Here he goes again. Certainty is fundamentally about survival. We all need to feel certain that we can avoid pain, okay? And ideally find some comfort. Continuous pain means continuous damage, and that eventually leads to our demise. Ooh, this is speaking so right to this topic, isn't it, to many of us. It's frightening to step into the unknown. It's difficult to be vulnerable. And it can be overwhelmingly uncomfortable to have that sense of uncertainty about what lies ahead. So we hang on to the past, because even if the past, he said, even if it's steeped in pain, it's what we are familiar with and what we have certainty about. So number 1, right here. Sometimes it's easier to hold on to the past, even like he said, if it's steeped in pain, because of the certainty factor. We already know what was there. We've already experienced it. And sometimes that holding on to that feels more certain than facing uncertainty about changing, about becoming more vulnerable, about opening up yourself with the potential of maybe being hurt again. So if this is where you're at, just be really honest. Why am I holding on to this? I might be holding on to this because it feels, even though I don't like it, it feels safer than letting it go, because that is uncertain. That is some new territory for me. I've not been there, and I'm not sure if I'm going to like it. I'm not sure if I allow myself to open up, if I'm just going to get hurt again. So sometimes these things, they serve us. That's what we want to talk about. How is this serving you? If you're one of my clients, you know I've asked you this question. I'm just going to give everyone else here that's not a current client of ours a little bit of a taste. But we hold on to these things because they actually are serving us to some degree. I understand. You think, Heather, you're absolutely crazy. This is not serving me. It's making my life miserable. It's the opposite of everything that I have ever wanted. It is destroying my life. Honey, I know. I get it. And my mentor asked me the same question. I said the same thing. This is not what I want. There's not serving me at all. And what she told me was that we do these things because we always protect ourselves. Our subconscious mind and our brains are really adapted to behaviors that we've conditioned them to think they're keeping us or protecting us from something. There's other ways that they serve us as well. So that protection against more pain. So if I hold on to this little bit of pain, okay, I can deal with that. But if I let it go, I might face even more pain. And that uncertainty there is too much. Like, there's too much fear there. And so I'm afraid of more future pain. So I'm just going to hold on to this pain. Does that make sense? Is that resonating with any of you? Let me know. And if you're doing that mental check-in, good job. I commend you for that, and I honor you for that. I know that this is not the easy work to do. But again, like I said last time, in our last live stream last week, that was a lot of lasts that I just spouted out right there. Last time, last week, last live stream. Anyway, I talked about choosing your hard. Life is hard. It's hard for you to carry on with this pain. It's hard for you to hold on to it, right? These things happened in the past, and yet they're destroying your current reality. And that's hard. It's also hard to let it go. So which one do you want? The freedom of letting it go and facing a little bit of uncertainty to gain greater peace and clarity and happiness, or the hard of holding on to it? So again, it really comes back to that choice. It's not that we can't let go of the past. It's that we won't, or we don't know how. So just being really real and honest with yourself. I really commend you if you're doing that with me. It's not an easy thing to do, but you're choosing your hard. You're doing something right now that isn't as easy. It's much easier. Wow, easier, and it has its own hard to stay stuck with where you are and to not go really deep and to think about these things. Ask yourself some hard questions. Okay, so identify how holding on to this may be serving you. So ask yourself right now, how is holding on to this actually serving me? Okay, let's just check in. Think about whatever the pain is or the thing from the past that you're really holding on to. How is it serving you? You might feel, if I forgive that person, they're just going to hurt me again. So if I can hold on to this, I can use it as a little bit of protection against that. You might also feel like this is serving me as a warning voice. It's helping me know everything that I don't want. It's helping me know that if I head down a certain road, not great things are going to happen. So it's giving me that warning signal, like the stove is hot, don't touch it, like an alarm like an alarm going off. That it's allowing us to know that we don't want to experience what we've done. Okay. And okay, Shelley said it could be you just don't want to let it go. Right. You just don't want to let it go. That's exactly what we're talking about. So why? If you know you don't like it, if you know it isn't helping you right now to carry all of this, then what are the reasons? So we talked about the fear of uncertainty, because the human need for certainty gets challenged. We also talked about that it serves us as protection against future pain. It can also serve us as a warning voice. And this is where I get to the really gentle place that I really love about this. If you really think about it, that these things have been going on. You've carried this and it's come up again and again and again and again. And it's something that you carry around like a weight, like a physical weight that you've been carrying around. And you're afraid to let it go. You're afraid to just put it down and be free of that weight. Why is that? I would challenge you that it's because there's a lesson there that you have yet to learn. Every single challenging experience, every single hardship, every single painful thing can be our teacher if we let it. So that's actually a beautiful thing. The fact that you're continuing to carry this with you means that there is something simply that you haven't yet learned from it. And so it is there to be with you until you're ready to learn from that thing. And once you learn from it, then you can let it go. So some great questions to ask yourself there. What can I learn from this? How can I let this painful experience be my teacher? What is it trying to teach me? What is it trying to show me? Okay. Now, another really important part of this idea of learning how to let go. If you don't know how to let go, part of it might be that you are afraid to accept your own part in it. Okay. That can be very painful to recognize, to deal with, and to process. I've seen and worked with especially many women, but men also, that they choose to stay stuck in something. Let's just take the example of an affair. And they think, how could they do that to me? How could they do that to me? How could they do that to me? Why didn't they love me enough? Why wasn't I good enough? Right? And they carry that fear and that doubt and that pain with them for years. Because part of it is it feels easier to continually look at them and everything they did to me than what I did to them and how I contributed to it. Because that is a whole other different kind of pain when you're recognizing, wow, I wasn't actually meeting their needs. Yeah, I let other distractions and other things get in the way. I was not learning good communication skills with them. I was not building that intimacy. That was my part. So if that is where you're getting stuck at, then taking a good, honest look at yourself and saying, this is my part in that. And that's okay. That's where I was at that time. So I'm going to let that go. I'm going to be willing to forgive myself. When I say let that go, oftentimes we hear this said, and in reality, this is a good chunk of it, but I think there's an element missing when people say, just let it go. Just let it go. There are times that there's something there preventing us from doing that. And I believe it's for a good reason, not a dumb reason, not because you're stupid or selfish or mean or unforgiving or bitter or awful. I think that there's something there. So here's you with the pain. Here's letting it go. No, bring it back into the camera. Here's letting it go. And there's something in between. That's a good reason why you feel like you can't just let it go. Let it go. That's a choice. And eventually everyone has to get there. Okay. That is the end goal, is to let it go. It's where you take that weight off. Done. Put the past in the past. Let the dead bury their dead. I'm moving on. I'm not going to live out my life anymore from that place. That is the end goal. What I'm saying is that I think oftentimes in traditional personal development, sometimes even in religion, from our friends, our family, even ourselves, we say, why can't I just let it go? I'm just supposed to just let it go. What you're not realizing is that there's something in the middle that's keeping you from letting it go. And that is a good reason. It's like a very real thing. So what I'm encouraging you to do with identifying why you can't let it go is figure out what that middle thing is. Because you can't just, it's like a wall. You can't cross over it. You can't just plow through it. You need to go through it. You need to release whatever that is, resolve whatever that blockage is. And that's one of the things that if you're really feeling stuck, I'm giving you some general tips here. I coach you on how to find out what that block is. So then you can work through it, once you're on the other side, I'll thank you all for the hearts and everything. And absolutely, once you're on the other side, when you've worked through whatever that reason is for you, and we're all different. We've all gone through different things. We have different personalities. So I can give you a couple generalizations, but it's hard to know for sure exactly what that is for you. You have an inner guidance system though. You have an inner voice. And so you can tap into yourself also and uncover what it is. Is it a lesson I haven't learned? Is there something I need to do or be that I'm not ready to be yet, or I haven't been for a long time? But now I can finally embrace that. Now I can finally become that. I can finally learn that lesson. Maybe it's that wall is, I haven't looked at myself. I haven't been willing to pile more pain on and to recognize that, ooh, I actually had a part in that. I'm not saying everyone does, okay? Just so we're clear. There's some things that we don't have accountability for. But when you do, you say, oh, yeah, that was my part. Okay, so when you're willing to go through that, then you can get to the place where like, I'm ready to let it go now. I'm ready to put this down. I've done the work I needed to do. I identified what the block was there. Alrighty. Okay, I just want to give a couple other little tidbits. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to talk to you guys about those. But I did want to identify a couple things. Sometimes what we see is that people, they've gone through something really challenging. They've gone through some pain, and they've never fully felt understood by anyone. And so the way that they need to work through pain, their wall block, I'm going to give you a couple of these general ones to help you. If you can identify them yourself, awesome. That's great. If you need a little more help, that's what I'm here for. That's what I do with the coaching that we do. But for these people that I just need to feel understood, I need to feel that someone just gets me, that was hard, and that they can have some sympathy and some appreciation and understanding of what I went through. Okay. So if you feel like you have never received that, that can become a huge block there. If no one has really given you that understanding, if no one's giving you, so like you kind of like sympathize your way through it, then I would encourage you to find a willing ear or a person, a coach, anyone like that, a pastor, someone that would just give you that gift of understanding so that you can finally say, oh, someone understands me. Someone understood. I feel like I don't have to carry this all on my own because someone got how hard that was for me. And sometimes for some people, that's enough to let it go. They just want to feel understood. Now, sometimes what gets difficult is you want a specific person to understand what you went through. The challenge there is that becomes like a double wall. Okay. And a double wall is one that you can't control because this person that you want to understand, and it's usually the person that hurt you, you can't always control that person. You can't always make them understand you. So you have to choose what you're going to do about that. Take that part of the wall off because you're actually the one that put it there. I understand you want reconciliation. You want that person to understand how painful it was for you, how challenging it was for you. But that might not be an option. If it is, beautiful. Write out your feelings to them. Let them know how hard it was. Give it to them if it's well received, if it will move everyone forward. But if you're not in a situation like that, where that isn't an option, then you can still get that feeling of understanding and relief if you let go of trying to control who and how and when it happens. So that's a little bit tidbit there. I did have a couple other things. I didn't want to, I've already gone 24 minutes, so I don't want to go too much into that. Shelley said, wow, didn't look at it like that. Yeah, it's flipping everything so that you can see what lessons can be learned, how it can be my teacher. Last thought then I will do. Okay, here, Leonore, I think it's how you say your name. What if you feel like you can't get closure? How do you know for sure it's over? Beside him saying it is. Okay. So Leonore, I'm going to assume that this is something that happened in the past. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you feel like you can't get closure because you're not sure if it's over. All right. The only thing you have to go on here in this instance is him saying it is. That is a beautiful, beautiful question. I'm so glad that you asked that. Him saying that it is in this kind of situation is simply not enough. Okay. It's just not enough. It's not enough to bridge that gap from I'm here to now I've let it go and I've achieved complete wellness and forgiveness. I've let this pain go. Okay. Because pains like this that are deep enough for you to feel unsure that you can't get over something require more than words of saying that it's done. Okay. I don't know what the specific situation is, and we don't have to go into detail about that. If you want to go into detail about with me in a private setting, I'd be happy to do that with you. You can message me or PM me, whatever. And we can go into that a little bit more. I know we've been talking too. So yeah, absolutely. So him saying that it is, this is part of what we do in the marriage coaching that we do, is that there are very specific things that need to happen on both parties' ends to rebuild absolute trust. Okay. Just like I said, with that knife in the arm, and you're not sure if the knife's out, it might be out just a little bit, but you're not sure if they're going to like stab it back in or if it's still there, right? We can only heal once the knife is taken out and healing can actually take place. So there are specific things that both parties need to do in that kind of situation to know that there is closure. Words alone aren't going to get you there. It's just not enough. And you know that. That's why you asked this question. You want to maybe trust what he says, but it's just not enough. There are other actions and other things that you need to do to build that trust and recreate that bond, that security, that intimacy, and that knowing that it is over, that there is closure there. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. So I hope that that gives you some guidance. So we can't go too deep into that because that's a little bit of a different issue. But there are things that you can do right now to get yourself some more peace, to get yourself some more comfort about what is happening, right? Or what has happened in the past. The reality is it might be over. The reality is it might not be. And so there are things that you need to do with him to get understanding and build that foundation there. But there are things that you can do to help improve yourself and help give yourself a sense of relief and comfort about that. So recognize, what might I be holding on to? Why am I holding on to it? I'm afraid of more pain. I'm afraid if I don't let this go, it's just going to happen again, right? All of those things. And then you need to see, how real is that? How real is it that it could happen again? It feels very real. Okay, well then that's what we need to start to work on. I'm not just saying it's all in your mind. There are definitely tactical and practical things that need to happen to make marriage work and to help yourself get where you need to go. But the first thing is identifying why you're holding on to it, what it is that you're holding on to, why you're holding on to it, and now what you're going to do about it. Final thought for you all here is that truly we have to live our lives looking forward. There's a saying that you can only understand your life looking backward, but it must be lived forward, right? So just like we're driving a car, we can't be driving backward and expect to go down the highway. If we're looking backward the entire time and we're driving forward, that's not going to be a pretty situation. We're going to be crashing and bumping into the road all over the place. And that is where a lot of people's lives feel like. And maybe that's where you feel like. I know I have been there myself, honestly, where you feel like your car is going forward, but you're looking that way and you're crashing and smashing into everything, and it's only creating more chaos. Life is meant to be lived looking forward. Another thing that Tony Robbins says is he won't let you talk about anything from the past. Well, I don't know if won't, but I've heard him talk about this where he said, I don't want to hear about your past because that's not where you're going. No one's going that way. We're all going this way. So I only want to hear about where you're going, because that's really the only thing that matters. The past is a great teacher. The past is a great opportunity. The past is a great way for us to learn and to grow, but it's gone. It's gone, right? We can't go back there. We can't relive it, and continuing to rehash it and relive it now is only going to smash your car all over the place and make you feel like a crazy person, because it is a little bit crazy to live like that, right? So it's a choice. So if you won't move forward, then you're deliberately choosing to live like that. If you don't know how to move forward, then ask yourself some of these questions. Go back and watch this. Go through it and see what might be that middle block that's standing between you wanting to forgive, wanting to move on from the past, and actually being able to do so. Understand that it's all a good thing. And I believe negative emotion is not a bad thing. All emotion is a beautiful, powerful, positive thing. Mark talked about that, I think, a week or two ago. Every single emotion is awesome. Negative emotion is powerful. It is your friend. It is your servant if you let it. It helps you know the contrast between what you want and what you don't want. It helps you know how deeply you care about someone when they hurt you. It helps you wake you up and make you aware of being alive. We're not here to feel good all the time. It's not meant to be like that. The problem is, like, negative emotion is a beautiful thing. Do not suppress it. Do not think that you can't be there or that you shouldn't feel negative things. They are absolutely there. But the problem comes when we stay stuck there, because that's a choice. If you stay stuck there, that's not going to help. You know, I'm preaching to the choir. You know that that's not where you want to be. So allow yourself to feel some negative emotion. For me personally, I get upset. It happens. I talked about what to do when your spouse pisses you off a couple weeks ago. I don't get that, and I don't usually have contention. But there was one thing I really, really got mad. I felt that fire burning up within me. And so something that I do is I have a couple exercises, and I take my clients through these on how to process emotion, let it out, give it a space so you can let it go. So many people get stuck there. They think they can't feel that way. They don't know how to let it go. It just consumes them, because that's the danger of that fire. Let the fire burn red and hot, but not more than 2 minutes. Not more than 2 minutes. That's what I do. Literally, I learned that from Robin Sharma. Set the timer 2 minutes. Allow yourself to scream, yell, throw a fit. Try not to throw things or hurt anyone. Yeah, don't hurt anyone. But, don't try to hold it back. Feel it for 2 minutes and say, okay, 2 minutes is done. I'm done. I'm moving on to what's going to get me going forward now. That emotion taught me something. This is what it is. This is what I need to do to get myself going forward. That's a very logical way of looking at it. I understand. But our emotions need a compass. They need a driver behind them. Otherwise, they'll run us everywhere they want to. Right? Just like that hurricane we talked about a couple weeks ago as well. It's just going to take you anywhere it wants you to. And so you have to take control of your car, control of your ship, whatever analogy you want to use, and get yourself going where you want to go. The only way to do that is through a conscious, deliberate choice. So consciously choose to look for the lessons in everything. Say, okay, I've got that. I know what that lesson is. If you don't know it yet, I'm going to find the answer. I'm going to keep moving forward until I find the answer. The answer will come. Now I know the answer. I know what I'm going to do to get myself going forward. Then it comes down to choice and creating new emotional habits, new emotional conditioning, new emotional responses to things. I've been going a while. Yeah, you're welcome, Shelly. I guess my final thought is that our emotions and our emotional responses are all conditioned behaviors. They're all things that we have learned over time, and that's okay. The beautiful thing about that is that we can learn new emotional responses. We can create a new pattern. Just like working out at a gym, it might feel really weak, awkward at first, but practice it over time, and that becomes your new reality. It becomes who you really are. So that is how, my friends, how to let go of the past. It's not that you can't. Hopefully it's not that you won't. Hopefully we've kind of crystallized that here. But it's that you need to learn how. And you learn how by going deep, asking yourself some questions, determining where you want to go from here and what's going to serve you best to get there. So again, I mentioned there's a lot of things that get in that block in the middle ground. So if you're feeling really stuck there, identifying that, let me know. And I'd be happy to chat with you about that. So awesome, guys. I hope you have a fantastic day. Hope you can let go of the past and have some peace and some freedom, and allow some love and some healing and some light into your life, because it's right there. It's always there. You just have to extend your hand and decide that you're going to take it. All right, guys, you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you soon.